All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Echoes of Fear podcast with Jason Hewlett and Kenton Moore.
He was Kenton, by the way, just in case you weren't sure.
Ha ha, we threw that over your heads. This week, we're going into part 2 of our Coulrophobia episode, and we're going to be talking about the fear of clowns in pop culture.
Which is always kind of fun because you and I are a couple of pop culture nerds. Like we love our movies, TV, books, video games, and clowns have been a big part of all of that, haven't they, Ken?
Yeah. First of all, I resemble that remark. But yeah, so in our last week in our episode, part 1 of the Coulrophobia episode, we talked about how Coulrophobia only really got its name in the 1990s. The reason for that was because of the prevalence of clowns in pop culture. So, Jason, tell me, what is your favorite pop culture clown that comes to mind?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, when you said that, I mean, Pennywise comes to mind immediately, even though he wasn't like the first clown that I really associate. I mean, the Joker was one. I grew up reading Batman, so the Joker was his main villain. And of course, you're talking 1990s. By then, the Batman movie had come out with Jack Nicholson, and that blew comic culture up where it was everywhere. I mean, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns had definitely made its mark, but it didn't have the same impact that Tim Burton's 1989 movie had, it was huge.
Oh, yeah. And come on, Jack Nicholson, Ever Dance with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight. I mean, come on, that's iconic.
It is. And, it's funny because at the time, I mean, there had been other Jokers before. There was like Cesar Romero's on the 60s TV show, but Jack Nicholson's Joker was the first one that made him like he was a clown, but he was menacing and scary. But I found since then, other people have played the Joker to varying degrees of success. But I think Heath Ledger's Joker, to me, is like the quintessential Joker. And I mean, obviously he put so much work into it, it actually drove him to the point of suicide. But there's something about that, because Jack Nicholson's was still a bit campy, but Heath Ledger made him a scary, down to earth. You could believe that this guy could be real character.
Yeah, and he was so unhinged, like that's what I found menacing about him is he really leaned heavily into that unpredictable nature of what makes a clown. We don't talk about Jared Leto. We're not going to talk about Jared Leto.
He was like the worst. That's all I'm going to say now.
The worst thing to happen to that character ever, and obviously we have to give mad prompts to Mark Hamill. I mean, voicing the Joker through years and years and years of animated and video games and all that kind of stuff. And just that iconic laugh that no one's ever, I'm not even going to attempt to imitate it.
No. He for a whole generation was Joker because of that animated series. I think what made that cool is it was Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Like it was Luke Skywalker doing the Joker. And people forget that there was a Flash TV series where he played a character called the Trickster. And that's almost where the first time you saw that Mark Hamill could do that.
Yeah, the CW Flash, right?
No, the one that was back on CBS with John Wesley Shipp and Amanda Pays in like the late 80s, early 90s. I think it was 1990 when that show came out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they reprised his role in the CW.
They did. Yeah.
With Grant. No, what's it?
It's just some guy.
Yeah.
But
We're not talking about the Flash.
His dad was played by John Wesley Shipp, who was the original Flash from the series.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and like so for me, the most notable clown that comes to my mind right away, obviously, Joker and Pennywise aside, the one that really stuck out for me was when I was a kid, I was collecting comic books, collected a lot of comic books, and I leaned heavily into X-Men, but my brother collected Spawn. And Spawn had, that super famous demon clown, the Violator,
that's right,
turn into the demon, and played famously by John Leguizamo in the movie.
Which was horrible. The movie was horrible.
Yeah, but, you got to give it to Leguizamo walking around on his knees all the time just to give that super unsettling movement. And, every time a person farts, an angel gets its wings.
He was good. He still sticks out in my mind. It's just the movie around him failed him, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like, again, a very classic clown character.
Yeah. And again, leaning into the unpredictability and the not quite human features of a standard clown.
No, that was very good. And I think those are kind of, I mean, there's got to be other comic book clowns out there, but those are the two I think that have really permeated pop culture, because Spawn's still talked about today, right? And I think the comic is still out there.
Yeah, oh yeah, and there's a lot of talk about a new movie. They've been grooming Jamie Foxx to play Spawn for quite a while, and I'm not sure where Todd McFarlane's at on making a new one, but you see news about it all the time, and I would love to see an updated version. But I will say, whether that movie, like it or not like it, Leguizamo was just an unbelievable violator. He made a great character on screen. The CGI was lackluster when he became the violator.
It was. It really was.
My biggest problem with it was always his teeth are too straight.
And you don't want a scary clown with straight teeth, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because when you think about clowns being depicted as scary in pop culture, you go back to things like Killer Clowns from Outer Space and and the Joker and all these things about clowns being violent or demonic. And a lot of people actually believe that it had to do with John Wayne Gacy's alter persona as Pogo the Clown, but I'm not quite sure. I couldn't find anything about it.
There's probably just more speculation as to why, right? But I mean, we have to address Stephen King's It, because the book came out 85, 86, something like that.
Yeah.
So we're talking 40 years. Kenton's going to do his quick bit of internet research here. We're talking 40 years ago. And King, of course, made Pennywise the main focus. It was the physical manifestation of it that would then take on various other forms throughout, your fears throughout the book. I remember that book cover very clearly. 86. So 86. So we're talking 39 years ago.
Yeah, sorry.
Right? But the clown was the primary feature. And did he ever say why he chose the clown? I think, again, because it's a scary thing that most people are commonly afraid of.
Well, I think King's intention with it, and again, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have any research that specifically quotes interviews, but I believe his intention was to go with something innocuous that people wouldn't find necessarily scary, and that was his whole intention. Is it's unsettling, leaning heavily into the unsettling and unpredictable nature. What's more upsetting than seeing a colorful, cute, happy children's character in a sewer?
And that is, that opening bit of the book, which was redone twice on film very well. And in the 1990s miniseries, it had Tim Curry as Pennywise. Then, of course, the feature film from 2017 with Bill Skarsgård. Yeah. Two very iconic, very different portrayals of Pennywise the Clown. But that opening sequence is still effective, no matter how many times you've watched it or read it or how it's been interpreted differently.
Yeah. And what's interesting, too, is if you look at all of these clowns, you look at all the clowns that have been depicted in pop culture, and the one thing that they all share in common is psychosis. All of them are psychotic. They're all insane or unpredictable or mentally unhealthy or whatever it is. You look at Pennywise, you look at the Joker, you look at even Sweet Tooth from the Twisted Metal games, was my favorite character when I used to play the games all the time. And then in the TV show that just came out with Anthony Mackie on Amazon Prime,
yep.
He's played in Physical by Jason Sinoa, who's also, Samoa Joe in WWE. But he's voiced by Will Arnett. And again, just psychotic, right? Even Krusty the Clown in The Simpsons, right?
Yeah, he's a bit of a crazy character, crazy Jewish character.
and then Sideshow Bob, too.
Right? Well, yeah, was his original sidekick who became a bad guy, right? And became it's just that whole with the rakes. I just love that moment.
And Bart's bad, eh?
Oh, God, yeah. Can't sleep, clown will eat me. Can't sleep, clown will eat me. But yeah, they're all, and the bed is laughing crazily. You're right. They're always portrayed as psychotic, unhinged, dangerous characters, which is so far removed from what the original interpretation, where they were just tricksters playfully messing with you, but never with that kind of ill intent.
Yeah. And, like we mentioned last episode too, Patch Adams with Robin Williams. The movie where he's the doctor that's not a doctor and he spends all his time dressing up as a clown and entertaining kids because laughter's the best medicine, and like the true intention of clowns and jesters and everything like that is to entertain, is to make you happy, is to be silly and make you forget about the worries of your life for a while. And I think like demonizing them is sort of like the ultimate insult, No,
I agree. Yet that is the only real acceptable version that people really want to have much to do with clowns. I mean, there's been clowns on shows where they are portrayed in that kind of, benign way, but they're always like a throwaway character on an episode of your show where usually you end up in a hospital with children. You know what I mean? Like that's usually the only way they're portrayed that way. But if they're featured prominently, they are the villain. And even in like stepping out of pop culture, when there was a series of clown sightings, right? Back in, I think it was 2016, 2017, where people were just seeing these clowns popping up everywhere. But they were like in playgrounds at night under streetlights.
Hiding in the bushes.
Hiding in the bushes. And that became a real thing and it created a real panic.
Yeah. And that came up in my research. And nobody still to this day knows what the true intention of it was. Like a lot of people think it was just a TikTok, YouTube, kind of phenomenon. Some people think it was like a guerrilla marketing for movies and stuff. But, like even today, even to now, right now, the big clown in pop culture is Art the Clown from like the Terrifier series.
Yeah, exactly. And he takes it to a whole new level, right?
New level.
And it's like, have you watched all three of them?
No, I've only seen the first one, and it's just like, like slaughterhouse gore, but he's just like, my buddy uses his memes all the time.
Well, I've watched all three, and I mean, he literally is a demon in the end, like, you know what I mean, kind of thing. But what's interesting about the portrayal is he doesn't talk through any of them. Whereas most of the time, like, with Pennywise and the Joker and all these other clowns, they will speak, but Art says nothing in any of the movies.
Yeah, and that fascinates me. Again, like you could really attribute that to the leaning into that unpredictable nature. Like I'm really leaning on that word. I'm leaning heavily, and I'm leaning on lean now too.
But it's that, you're right. It's that unpredictability, and taking it back to the real world sightings. There was a found footage movie that was made called Behind the Sightings, which dives into all that. But of course, what the documentary filmmakers discover, it was an ill-intentioned thing to hurt and kill people. And of course, they, spoiler alert, fall victims to these clowns. But it kind of really tried to capitalize on that phenomenon in a Blair Witch style kind of way. And it's on Amazon, and it's okay. It's worth watching once for sure. Yeah. But it's interesting.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's funny too, because when you talk to you look online and you look at like Spirit Halloween, and one of the number one sold Halloween costumes to date is still Psycho Clown, right?
So I mean, what more can be said about it? But this is a real thing, and what's interesting to me is I think this is one of the few phobias. I don't know if I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying this, where it feels like people really have the ability to capitalize on it in a financial way. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like it's easy. That's the thing, right? Like if you're in the market of fear, if you're in any kind of market of fear, like you want to make a scary movie, if you want to make a viral TikTok video, if you want to do any of that kind of stuff, it's easy to throw on some clown makeup and just go, boo, and just like scare someone's dog or whatever.
Or stand under a streetlight with it and just have a picture taken, because there's just something unsettling about that.
That was one of my favorite videos from that whole thing that happened in Europe was like this guy over in, I can't even remember, I think it was like France. And it was like these pedestrian tunnels, these like pedestrian sidewalks that go under tunnels and bridges and stuff. And this guy would just come out of the shadows dressed as a clown, dragging a giant hammer. And he would just walk towards people and they'd be like, oh my God.
That would be, my buddy Sean and I wanted to start doing stuff like that in Kamloops. Like when it became a big thing in 2017, we were going to get clown stuff and just go wander around and just frighten people. But we thought better of it probably in the end because we'd get hurt.
Yeah. And, and again, too, like the anecdotes, they're everywhere. You any listener out there, talk to as many of your friends as you can think of and ask them if they have one experience, one memory where they've been terrified by a clown. And I guarantee you 1 out of 10 of your friends will have a story.
Yeah, and it just popped into my head. I don't know if you can even look it up really quick. There is a writer that said there's nothing more terrifying than a clown after midnight. And this isn't some like modern writer. This was going back a ways. So Kenton's plugging that information into his central computer right now to see who can find. But I remember reading that as a kid or a teenager, and it made sense to me because that is just a scary thought. Like you take a clown in a circus, it's fine. You put him out. Oh, that was Stephen King. And you put him out at night and it changes everything. And I think that's what he was in his way kind of playing on with Pennywise, right? And let's first, before we can even wrap it up, let's talk about the two interpretations of Pennywise. There's the Tim Curry one.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the Bill Skarsgård one, which now most people are associating with it. There's even a TV series called, Welcome to Derry, where it's going to take remember those interlude stories?
Yeah.
And each season's an interlude story talking about the history of this. So what are your thoughts on my first was Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, most people's first scary clown is going to be it,
Yeah.
And Tim Curry, he was more subdued. Hey, like I found that Tim Curry was more presence focused. Like he, as a clown, he was more like just subdued. Whereas Skarsgård was clearly leaning on again with the lean. Yeah. he was into that unstable psychosis part, right?
Yeah, because Tim Curry would kind of it would be more in how he talked. And he would stand there and he'd say all the lines that he was supposed to say, but he kind of kept it, yeah, you're right, subdued, almost like played it straight. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what was supposed to make it. It made the fact he was dressed as a clown, I think, even more frightening for people. And again, it was a TV miniseries, so there's certain things you just couldn't do on television, especially back then. Back then, I think it actually had a warning in front of it, mm-hmm. which was rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, Skarsgård, and even then, he's not like so over the top, except in a few bits as he becomes more unhinged. But there's even his one eye is always a little bit off.
It's just like,
right?
That's unsettling.
Which was just unsettling alone. And there'd be moments, which I love, where there was at the beginning where he's in the sewer and he's talking to the boy about the boat, where they're kind of the popcorn, he has this, pop, 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 and then he stops and just goes dead. And it's dead silent. And it is like, maybe for 10 seconds, but your skin just crawls at that. Like he tapped into something else. It's supposed to be this demonic monster from outer space, actually, kind of thing, right? Which is kind of interesting. But it was, yeah, there's something about that performance, which I think is partly why those movies did so well.
Yeah. Yeah. And the going even into the Crow, right? Like the way that he decorates himself up as a clown, he's like a vengeful clown, that spirit thing. But yeah, with Pennywise, yeah, entity from another world that subsists on fear.
Which is just a brilliant villain. Too bad it just was a spider thing that took a little bit of the fun out of it at the very end, right? But yeah, I think that's such a class. Now I want to reread the book. Yeah. Which is going to have to dedicate 3 months to get through it because it's so long. But
yeah,
let's talk about The Crow, because I know that's like one of your favorite.
Oh yeah, favorite movie of all time. But we're talking about the 1994 Brandon.
Yeah, the new one doesn't exist.
No, I watched the new one, and I got to tell you, when the marketing for the new one came out, they were like, "Oh, it's the best adaptation of the original graphic novel," and people were trying to justify it by that. And I just want to say, I have the James Barr graphic novel.
So do I.
It is so far from the source material. Like, it is absolute garbage. There was no demon worshipping, like souls going to hell, like that limbo place where the guy explained everything about his powers, like bullshit. I'm sorry, but I hated the remake. I hated it.
I haven't watched it, and I'm not going to watch it just based on everything I've read about it. I mean, there was, Skull Cowboy in the original story, but he was on Earth and he would kind of help lead Eric Draven around. There was no other realm or anything like that. No.
No, yeah. No, and I mean, let's be honest, in 1994's The Crow, it was just flawless cinema. It was popcorn beauty, frame for frame. And that scene when he's in his apartment and he picks the cat up and he gets all his memories back. And then he punches the mirror and he starts putting all the makeup on and it's like, in paint your face in shadows, smile. Like that gives, I have goosebumps
me too.
right
I got
now.
it right now too because it's just so brilliantly done. Every night I burn and dream, and then the flashes.
Yeah,
but he plays it like a clown. He's unpredictable. Eric Draven, the good guy, is unpredictable. Like he's very somber at times. But then there's all the different scenes, like, where the one part
smiling ear to ear.
Smiling ear to ear and dancing a little bit like that, like.
Yeah, and his one-liners too, like his one-liners throughout the whole movie. He's like, like, he had a friend who played with knives.
Yeah. When the one guy is like, he shoots him and his hand heals up and the guy's like, Jesus Christ. He's like, Jesus Christ, stop me if you've heard this one. Jesus Christ walks into an inn and says, I have these 3 nails. Can you put me up for the night? Like, oh.
Yeah, that joke is legendary. Just legendary.
But yeah, there's another pop culture clown that's very different from the other clowns, yet still, he's not doing it for fear against the people he's going after, but he's still a symbol for good. But he has all the traits of unpredictability.
Yeah, it's a very directed fear. Hey, he's very directed, like a weapon.
Exactly. Well, he is a weapon. Yeah. Like it's the vengeance. It's the ultimate interpretation of vengeance as a weapon. Yeah. So there you go. So we found one good clown out of all the other clowns. Krusty the Clown's not a bad clown. He's just a clown.
He's mistaken.
and driven by corporate greed. All right.
Yeah, and on final note too, like clowns in the weirdest places is another thing that makes them very powerful. Like going back to the Sweet Tooth conversation, the reason why he was one of my favorite players to play in the Twisted Metal game is like, what's worse than a terrifying clown? A terrifying clown who drives a freaking ice cream truck with a minigun. Like
that's pretty frightening. Or a clown in a sewer.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right?
A clown in a sewer, a clown in an ice cream truck. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all like you're right. In these odd settings, a clown after midnight, a clown, I think that's, you take this happy thing and put it in an odd place, unexpected place, and then let it run wild.
That's a good point. You ever think that it's about twisting the way we see things?
Oh, I think it's about perception, big time, right? And playing with people's perception. I think all fear is that kind of thing. And maybe not all, but like fear of the dark. Like there's actually really nothing wrong with the dark. Mm-hmm. It's our perception of it. Yeah.
And, in the research I've been doing for future episodes, I'm starting to find that that's a common theme. Like thalassophobia, for example, fear of the sea, which is an upcoming episode. It's not so much the fear of the ocean as it is the fear of the things that live within it.
Yeah, yeah. And what's below you while you're in it. And because you can't see that, right? Yeah.
The only how does this go? The sea and the oceans are the only environment more inhospitable to man than space.
Yes. Big time. Big time. And is there a fear of space?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So we'll be dealing with that too. Do we know what we're talking about next week?
Yeah. So next week, Jason, we're delving into that deep, dark, and awesome brain of yours and all that experience that you've had. And next week, we're going to be talking about phasmophobia, the fear of ghosts, undead, and supernatural things.
Well, I can't wait to talk about that. That's partly my bread and butter.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm sure that I'm going to be like listening to a lot of anecdotes next week, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, until next week, I'm Jason.
And I'm Kenton.
That's just brilliant. I love that.